Bonjour and welcome, viewers and students, to Let's Speak French, Parlons Français. These lessons on basic French are short and easy, and if you follow the program regularly, I can assure you that very soon you will be able to understand French quite easily. In the first lesson of this chapter, we learned about the compound past of verbs with avoir. In today's class, we will learn about the compound past tense of verbs with être. This lesson has been divided into 3 sections. In the first section, I will read out a French text in which all the verbs are conjugated in the compound past tense. Then in the next section, I will explain about the construction of these verbs. And finally, in the third section, we will do an exercise to revise what we learned in today's class. We'll begin the lesson with a French text. This text tells us how Françoise spent her day. La journée de Françoise. Hier, Françoise s'est réveillée à 6 heures. Elle est restée un peu au lit et elle s'est levée à 6h30. Elle s'est habillée et elle est sortie pour faire un tour de vélo dans le parc. Elle est entrée après 1 heure et elle s'est dirigée immédiatement vers la salle de bain. Après sa douche, elle est descendue prendre son petit déjeuner et tout de suite après, elle est partie au travail. Françoise est arrivée au bureau à 9 heures. Pendant la pause de midi, Françoise et Gilles sont allés visiter une collègue qui est devenue mère. Il fait 2 semaines que le petit est né et Françoise est déjà venue plusieurs fois le voir. Après quelques minutes, Françoise et Gilles sont repartis au bureau. So this was a short text where all the verbs have been conjugated in the compound past tense. In the next section, I will show you how to construct this tense. Before I show you how to construct the compound past tense with être, let me refresh your memory regarding the compound past tense. The compound past is a tense that is composed of 2 elements. The first element is the auxiliary verb, which is always conjugated in the present tense. This is followed by the second element, which is the past participle form of the main verb. In the French language, there are 2 auxiliary verbs, avoir and être. The majority of verbs takes the auxiliary avoir, and this is what we studied in the first lesson of this chapter. We learned that when a verb uses avoir as its auxiliary, its past participle form remains invariable. In other words, the past participle of verbs that take avoir as their auxiliary has a single form. Here's a conjugation of the verb fermer, which means to close. Fermer takes avoir as its auxiliary. J'ai fermé, tu as fermé, il a fermé, elle a fermé, nous avons fermé, vous avez fermé, ils ont fermé, elles ont fermé. I'll again repeat the words. J'ai fermé, tu as fermé, il a fermé, elle a fermé, nous avons fermé, vous avez fermé, ils ont fermé, elles ont fermé. As you can see, the auxiliary verb avoir has been conjugated in the present tense. To it, we add the past participle of the main verb. The past participle of the verb remains invariable. Now let me show you how verbs that take être as their auxiliary are conjugated in the compound past. the pattern of construction is the same. Here again, the auxiliary is conjugated in the present tense and it is followed by the past participle of the main verb. However, there is an important difference that distinguishes the two constructions, and that is the auxiliary verb être. When the auxiliary être is used for conjugation, the past participle needs to agree in number and in gender with the subject. Let me provide you with an example. Let's consider the verb rentrer, which means to return. Je suis rentré, tu es rentré, il est rentré, elle est rentrée, nous sommes rentrés, vous êtes rentrés, ils sont rentrés, elles sont rentrées. I'll again repeat the words. Je suis rentré, tu es rentré, il est rentré, elle est rentrée, nous sommes rentrés, vous êtes rentrés, ils sont rentrés, elles sont rentrées. As you can see, the past participle changes according to the subject. When the subject is feminine singular, an E is added to the past participle. When the subject is feminine plural, the letters ES are added to the past participle. If the subject is masculine singular, the past participle does not require any additional letters. But if the subject is masculine plural, an S is added to the past participle. Je, tu, nous and vous can refer to either gender, and that is why I have mentioned two endings. This agreement between the auxiliary être and the past participle is a very important point that must be followed. So now that you know how to construct the compound past of verbs with être, let me show you how to find out which verbs take the auxiliary être and which take avoir. In French, there are only 14 verbs and their derivations that use être as their auxiliary. These verbs always indicate a change of place or condition. Change of place. Arriver, to arrive. Aller, to go. Descendre, to go down. Entrer, to enter. Monter, to go up. Partir, to go. Passer, to go by. Sortir, to go out. Tomber, to fall. Venir, to come. I'll again repeat the words. Arriver, to arrive. Aller, to go. Descendre, to go down. Entrer, to enter. Monter, to go up. Partir, to go. Passer, to go by. Sortir, to go out. Tomber, to fall. Venir, to come. And change of condition. Devenir, to become. Mourir, to die. Naître, to be born. I'll again repeat the words. Devenir, to become. Mourir, to die. Naître, to be born. So whenever these verbs and their derivations are conjugated in the compound past tense, one must always remember to use the auxiliary être. Most of the derivations are constructed from the addition of the prefix re, which indicates a repetition of the verb, such as partir, to go. Repartir, to go again. Sortir, to go out. Ressortir, to go out again. Venir, to come. Revenir, to come again. I'll again repeat the words. Partir, to go. Repartir, to go again. Sortir, to go out. Ressortir, to go out again. Venir, to come. Revenir, to come again. Apart from these verbs, there is another set of verbs that take the auxiliary être. The verbs I'm talking about are the pronominal verbs. All pronominal verbs are conjugated with être in the compound tenses. Let me illustrate this with the verb s'habituer, which means to get accustomed to. Je me suis habitué. Tu t'es habitué. Il s'est habitué. Elle s'est habituée. Nous nous sommes habitués. Vous vous êtes habitués. Ils se sont habitués. Elles se sont habituées. I'll again repeat the words. Je me suis habitué. Tu t'es habitué. Il s'est habitué. Elle s'est habituée. Nous nous sommes habitués. Vous vous êtes habitués. Ils se sont habitués. Elles se sont habituées. With pronominal verbs, the reflexive pronoun always precedes the auxiliary verb. The phenomenon of elision is observed between the reflexive pronoun and the auxiliary in the second and third person singular forms. There is a third set of verbs that take the auxiliary être. What is special about these verbs is that they can also take the auxiliary avoir. Let me explain this with the verb monter. This verb can take the two auxiliary verbs. Je suis monté au grenier. I went up the attic. J'ai monté deux valises. I carried up two suitcases. In the first sentence, the verb monter uses the auxiliary être. Here, monter means to go up. In the second sentence, the verb monter uses the auxiliary avoir. And here, monter means to carry something up. Generally, when a verb takes both auxiliary verbs, the meaning will alter slightly in both cases. With avoir, the verb will always have an object. In the sentence, the valise is the object of the verb monter. With être, the verb is intransitive. An intransitive verb does not require an object. Now that you know which are the verbs that use the auxiliary être, let me explain to you the position of the auxiliary and the past participle when the sentence contains additional words like adverbs and negative word pairs. This rule regarding the word order is the same for verbs that use the auxiliary avoir. Adverbs are generally placed after the past participle. The structure is therefore subject plus auxiliary verb plus main verb plus adverb. Elles sont parties subitement. They left suddenly. In the negative form, the auxiliary is placed between the negative word pair. With pronominal verbs, the reflexive pronoun and the auxiliary are placed between the negative word pair. Subject plus ne plus reflexive pronoun plus auxiliary verb plus pas plus main verb. Elles ne sont pas sorties. They haven't gone out. Subject plus ne plus reflexive pronoun plus auxiliary verb plus pas plus main verb. Elles ne se sont pas brossé les dents. They haven't brushed their teeth. Before we proceed to the next section and revise what we learned today, let me summarize the lesson for you. The construction of the compound past of verbs that take the auxiliary être is the same as verbs that take the auxiliary avoir. However, one important point needs to be remembered. The past participle that follows the auxiliary être will always agree in number and gender with the subject. In this third section, we will revise what we learned in today's session on the compound past. A short exercise has been provided below. We need to complete the 5 sentences by conjugating the verb given within brackets in the compound past. Hier, nous ne se reposaient pas du tout. The first person plural of être in the present tense is sommes. The past participle of the main verb is reposer, but since the subject is plural, we add an s. And since the main verb is a pronominal verb, the reflexive pronoun and the auxiliary will be placed between the negative word pair. Hence, the answer is hier, nous ne nous sommes pas reposés du tout. This sentence translates as yesterday, we didn't rest at all. Elle rentrait très tard. The third person plural of être in the present tense is est. The past participle of the main verb is rentrer. But since the subject is feminine singular, we add an e. Hence, the answer is elle est rentrée très tard. This sentence translates as she returned very late. Tu naître le 4 janvier. The second person singular of être in the present tense is est. The past participle of the main verb is né. Hence, the answer is tu es né le 4 janvier. This sentence translates as you were born on the 4th of January. Il se promenait dans le bois. The third person plural of être in the present tense is sont. The past participle of the main verb is promener, but since the subject is plural, we add an s. And since the main verb is a pronominal verb, the reflexive pronoun will be placed before the auxiliary verb. Hence, the answer is ils se sont promenés dans le bois. This sentence translates as they went for a walk in the woods. With this, we come to the end of our last lesson of chapter 6. This lesson was divided into 3 sections. In the first section, I read out a French text in which all the verbs were conjugated in the compound past tense. In the second section, I explained how to construct the compound past of verbs with être. And finally, in the third section, we revised today's lesson by doing an exercise. I hope you enjoyed today's session. In the next session, we will begin chapter 7. The first lesson will be on the imperative mood. I hope to see you in the next session. Thank you and à bientôt. See you soon.